Today we will be doing some more substitution, and these problems will require a little bit more work in order to get our solution. So we have two equations here, y equals 5x plus 6 and 3y minus 12 equals 15x. So what we're going to do is we're going to replace y in the second equation with 5x plus 6 because the first equation tells us that's what y equals. So we're going to rewrite the second equation, but instead of writing y, we're going to write what y equals, which is 5x plus 6 from the first equation. And then we distribute 15x plus 18 minus 12 equals 15x. Then we can combine like terms. 15x plus 6 equals 15x. We get 6 equals 0. So remember, if we have this situation, that means there are no solutions because we get an untrue statement. 6 does not equal 0. So there is no solutions for this problem. Now if we look at number 2, notice neither equation has a variable by itself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work with the top equation because I can see that if I subtract 7y from both sides, I get x equals negative 7y. So now I can substitute this in for x. It says x equals negative 7y. So that's why I'm going to replace x with negative 7y. So then I'll rewrite the second equation. 2 times negative 7y minus 8y equals 22. So again, I will now distribute and solve this. 2 times negative 7y is negative 14y minus 18y equals 22. Combine our like terms. Negative 22y equals 22. And then divide both sides by negative 22. Y is equal to negative 1. So now I need to take this and plug that into any of the equations in order to get my answer. I personally think it's probably easier to plug it into this equation right here because x is already by itself and we can just plug in what y equals. So x equals negative 7y. We know y is negative 1. So then x equals negative 7 times negative 1 is positive 1. So we have to write our answer as an ordered pair. Our x value is 7, and our y value is negative 1. So then there is one solution. In example 3, I notice that x is already by itself on the top equation. It's just on the right side. It doesn't really matter though. So x equals 2y minus 9. So now I can substitute that in for x in the second equation. So second equation says 4y equals 2x, but instead of x, I'm going to write 2y minus 9 and plus 18. So 4y equals, and then we'll distribute, we get 4y minus 18 plus 18. So we get 4y equals, when we combine our like terms, we get 4y. So the same thing is on the left and right side, exact same thing, 4y equals 4y. That means there's infinitely many solutions. Infinite many solutions. So like what we talked about the other day, as soon as we know that there's that we have the same thing on the left and right side, there's infinite many solutions. Now, on the next page, we have story problems. So when we read these story problems, I'm going to highlight things and pick those things out for information and then write our equations on that. So it says, your brother and sister took turns driving on a 635-mile trip that took 11 hours. Your brother drove at a constant speed of 60 miles per hour, and your sister drove at a constant speed of 55 miles per hour. Let x be the number of hours your brother drove, and y be the number of hours your sister drove. So if x and y are the number of hours that your brother and your sister drove, if we add them up, we should get 11 because the trip took 11 hours. So our first equation will be x plus y equals 11. The next equation will have to do with the speed. So if your brother drove at 60 miles per hour, so 60, and x is the number hours your brother drove, so it'd be 60x plus 55y equals 635, because that's the number of miles the trip took. You wouldn't want to write 55x plus 60y equals 635. And the reason for that is because your brother drove 60 miles per hour, and x is the number of hours your brother drove. So 60 and x have to go together, which means 55 and y have to go together. Then B says, find the number of hours each of your siblings drove by solving the system using substitution. So since I already have the equations up above, I'm going to use that space for my work. X plus y equals 11. It doesn't matter which one you solve for. Because they're both just one x and one y, it makes it equal as easy to choose x or y. If it was like 2x plus y equals 11, then I would probably get y by itself, so that way it's a little bit easier to deal with. So let's just subtract y then. So x equals 11 minus y. So then we will substitute that in for x. So then we get 60 times 11 minus y plus 55y equals 635. We'll distribute that 60, so we get 660 minus 60y plus 55y equals 635. We'll combine our like terms, so we get 660 minus 5y equals 635. Subtract 660 from both sides. We get negative 5y equals negative 25. And then we divide both sides by negative 5. Y is equal to positive 5. Okay, so y is the number of hours your sister drove, which is 25. Which is 5. Now we can say x equals 11 minus y from this equation right here, which is 5. So x is 6. So this means sister, that was 5 hours, and brother was 6 hours. Then example 5 says Wendy's is starting a catering business and is attempting to figure out who she should be using to transport the food to different locations. She found 2 trucking companies that are willing to make sure her food arrives intact. Peter's Pickup charges 40 cents per mile and charges a flat fee of $68. Helen's Haulers charges 65 cents per mile and charges a flat fee of $23. So solve the system and explain in words what the solution means. Okay, so the equation for Peter's Pickup will be y equals, and since it's 40 cents per mile, we'll do 0.40x plus 68. Remember that flat fee, that's a clue that we're talking about a y-intercept, because it's just $68 regardless as your flat rate. And then Helen's, that's y equals 65 cents per mile plus 23, because that's our flat rate. So to solve this system, since they're both equal to y, we can set them equal to each other. This is like what we did the other day when we already just had 2 equations that were equal to y. So we're going to set our equations equal to each other. So 0.4x plus 68 equals 0.65 plus 23. Subtract 0.40x from both sides. That gives us 68 equals 0.25x plus 23. Subtract 23 from both sides. That gives us 45 equals 0.25x. Divide both sides by 0.25. That gives us an x value of 180. So what that tells us is that if the distance is 180 miles away, if that's how far the food needs to be transported, both companies will cost the same amount of money. So both companies will charge the same amount if the distance is 180 miles. Okay, letter B says if Wendy had to cater an event that was 100 miles away, which company should she go with to save money? So we're going to plug in 100 for x in both equations and see which one is cheaper. So for Paul's, it's 0.4x plus 68. So we will do, y equals 0.40 times 100 plus 68. So y equals 0.48 times 100 is going to be 40 plus 68, and that will give us 108. For Helen's, that's y equals 0.65 times 100 plus 23. So y equals 65 plus 23. So we type that in the calculator and we get 88. So Helen is cheaper for this trip. So Helen's Haulers is cheaper. Okay. So that's it for the video. This lesson kind of combines a lot of stuff from before and takes it to the next level. So if you have a question, make sure you reach out and ask. Otherwise, make sure you smash the like button. Bye.